We often hear about the concept of the chosen one. It sounds mystical, like a legend passed down from ancient times. And yet, in this modern era, many of us feel a deep pull, an undeniable feeling that we're on a path meant for something greater. But what does it truly mean to be chosen? And more importantly, how do you know if your spiritual journey is making you radiate with such immense energy that others can't help but notice? First, I want you to pause and reflect. Have you ever felt that you're different from those around you? Not in an arrogant way, but in a subtle, almost indescribable vibration that makes you aware of a calling beyond the mundane. This feeling is one of the first signs that you may be on a spiritual journey that is transforming you into something extraordinary, something godlike.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
As we embark on this exploration together, I want you to understand that this journey is not just about outward change. It's about a deep internal transformation. When you walk this path, layers of illusion start to dissolve. And as they fall away, a more radiant version of yourself begins to emerge. But here's the catch: this transformation doesn't go unnoticed. People around you will begin to see it, even if they can't quite put their finger on what it is. I want you to imagine yourself walking into a room. Before you speak, before you make any grand gestures, the energy shifts. People feel your presence, almost like a force that commands attention, but not in an overbearing way. It's subtle, yet powerful. Why does this happen? It's because your aura, your energy field, has expanded. You've tapped into something deeper, a connection to the divine source that flows through all things. This is the radiant glow of someone who is walking a spiritual path, a chosen one who is being guided by forces unseen. But how do you know if you've reached this level of radiance? How do you know if your spiritual journey is making you appear godlike to others? Let's start by looking inward. The first sign of this transformation is in your eyes. Have you ever noticed how, after periods of deep meditation, prayer, or reflection, your eyes seem to glow with a new intensity? It's almost as if you can see beyond the ordinary. This is because your inner world is expanding, and your eyes, which are often called the windows to the soul, begin to reflect that expansion. People might comment on how bright or sharp your eyes look, even if they can't quite explain why. It's not just about physical appearance, it's about the light that is emanating from within you. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time someone looked at you with a sense of awe, as if they were seeing a part of you they had never noticed before? This is one of the clearest signs that your spiritual journey is making you appear godlike. Your presence alone becomes a form of communication. You don't need to speak or explain. People feel your energy, and it speaks to them on a soul level. Another sign is how you affect the emotions of those around you. When you're walking this path, people tend to feel calmer, more centered in your presence. They might even feel inspired or uplifted without understanding why. This is because your energy is vibrating at a higher frequency. You are, in essence, radiating love, peace, and wisdom. And as you continue evolving spiritually, this radiance only grows stronger. But here's something important to remember: this kind of energy doesn't come from a place of ego. You're not trying to impress or dominate others. In fact, this godlike radiance often comes from a place of deep humility. You've surrendered to something greater than yourself. You've allowed the universe, the divine, or whatever name you give to that higher power, to work through you. And that's why people notice. It's not you they're seeing, it's the light of the divine shining through you. Now let's talk about another powerful sign: synchronicity. When you're on this spiritual journey, things start to align in ways that seem almost magical. You think about someone, and they call you. You're facing a challenge, and the perfect solution appears, seemingly out of nowhere. This isn't a coincidence. This is the universe responding to your energy. When you're in tune with your higher self, the universe mirrors that back to you. It's like walking a path that has already been laid out for you, and as you take each step, the stones rise to meet your feet. But here's a question for you to deeply consider: what would it feel like to fully trust this process? To know that every moment of your life is divinely guided? Could you surrender to that level of faith? What would you have to let go of to walk through life with that kind of confidence and ease? As you continue on this journey, there's another crucial sign to be aware of: the way animals, children, and nature respond to you. These beings are incredibly sensitive to energy. If you notice that animals are drawn to you, or that children seem to naturally trust you, it's because they can sense your purity. Your energy is no longer chaotic or filled with lower vibrations like fear, anger, or doubt. Instead, it's harmonious, and these beings, who are closer to nature and the divine, are naturally drawn to that. Imagine sitting in a park and a bird lands near you, or a child runs over, smiling without a word. These moments may seem small, but they are profound signs that your energy is radiating at a higher frequency. You are becoming a vessel for divine energy, and the world around you is responding to that. At this point, you might be wondering, is this journey meant for everyone? Can anyone become a chosen one, or are only a select few destined for this path? The truth is, we are all chosen in one way or another. But not everyone hears the call, and even fewer answer it. The difference between those who walk this path and those who don't is simple: it's the willingness to surrender to the unknown, to trust that there is something greater guiding us, even when we can't see the full picture. Here's something I want you to reflect on: what would your life look like if you fully embraced this calling? If you stopped resisting and allowed yourself to be led by the divine, how would your relationships, your career, and your sense of self change? The final sign I want to talk about in this part of our journey together is the way you handle adversity. Being on a spiritual path doesn't mean that life will be free of challenges. In fact, sometimes the challenges might become even more intense. But here's the difference: as you grow spiritually, you begin to see these challenges as opportunities. You understand that every difficulty is a lesson, a chance to grow, and a way to purify your spirit even further. When others look at you during these moments of adversity, they see strength, resilience, and grace. You become a living example of what it means to walk the path of a chosen one. Others might crumble under the weight of hardship, but you stand tall, not because you're stronger than them, but because you've tapped into a power that is beyond human strength. You've tapped into the divine. When you begin to change at a core level, when your spiritual journey reaches a point of deep transformation, the world around you starts to shift in ways that are undeniable. It's not just that you feel different inside. It's that your entire reality starts to respond to this new version of you. Have you ever noticed that when you're in a state of inner peace, things that used to bother you just don't seem to have the same effect anymore? It's as if they dissolve on their own. You could be in the midst of chaos, yet your mind remains clear, your emotions steady. This is the second great sign that your spiritual journey is making you appear godlike. You're no longer reactive. You've become calm in the storm, and people around you notice this. They may even start to come to you for guidance, even though you might not have said a word about your evolution. They feel it. Your energy is no longer tied to the constant ups and downs of the external world. You found a center within yourself that remains unaffected. This is why others begin to see you as someone who is larger than life, almost like you have access to a wisdom that they can't quite grasp. And the truth is, you do. You've tapped into something that goes beyond the daily noise of life. You've connected to a deeper reality, and that connection makes you radiate. People will begin to notice the way you handle challenges. It's not that you don't face difficulties, everyone does. But the way you approach those difficulties is different now. You might find yourself responding to situations with a kind of grace that surprises even you. Where before you might have reacted with frustration or fear, now you respond with calm understanding. This doesn't mean you ignore problems or pretend they don't exist. It means you see them for what they really are: temporary, fleeting opportunities for growth, and you move through them without losing your sense of peace. This shift in how you respond to the world around you is one of the most powerful signs of your transformation. It's not something you have to force. It happens naturally as you evolve spiritually. You start to realize that most of the things that used to trigger you were never really about you in the first place. They were reflections of deeper fears or insecurities that are now fading away. As those layers fall off, what's left is a version of you that is much closer to your true essence, something pure, something radiant. Let's talk about another sign: the way your presence alone starts to shift the energy of a room. You may not even be aware of it, but others will tell you. They'll say things like, "It feels different when you're around," or "I feel so much better after talking to you." These aren't just compliments. These are reflections of the energy you're putting out into the world. You might find that people start to open up to you more, sharing things they wouldn't normally share with others. This happens because they can sense your authenticity, your openness. You've become someone who they can trust, not because you've told them you're trustworthy, but because your energy speaks for itself. There's no pretense, no facade. You've let go of the masks that most people wear, and in doing so, you've become a beacon of truth. This level of clarity and authenticity is rare, and when people encounter it, they are drawn to it. It's as if they can sense that you're operating from a different place, a place of deep truth and inner peace. And this is what makes you appear godlike, not in some grandiose sense, but in the way you carry yourself through life. People may not even be able to articulate what it is, but they feel it. And it's not just people who notice. The universe itself begins to shift in response to your energy. You might start to experience what some would call miracles. Little things at first, like the perfect parking spot appearing just when you need it, or running into someone who has exactly the advice or connection you've been looking for. But as your energy continues to rise, these little synchronicities begin to transform into something bigger. You'll notice that life starts to flow with an ease that wasn't there before. Problems resolve themselves faster, opportunities seem to come out of nowhere, and the right people show up in your life at exactly the right time. This isn't magic. This is the result of your energy aligning with a higher frequency. When you're vibrating at a higher level, the universe responds to that. It's as if you're tuning into a different reality, one where things just seem to work out in your favor. This doesn't mean that life will be without challenges, but it does mean that those challenges will feel less like obstacles and more like stepping stones on your path. Think about it. Have you ever had a moment where everything seemed to fall into place, almost effortlessly. That's what happens when your energy is in alignment with your spiritual evolution. You're no longer pushing against life, trying to force things to go your way. Instead, you're flowing with life, and in that flow, everything seems to come together in ways you couldn't have planned. Another sign that your spiritual journey is making you appear godlike is the way people begin to seek you out for advice or comfort. You might not have set yourself up as a spiritual teacher or guide, but others see you as one. It's as if they can sense that you have access to something they don't. They may not even know why they're drawn to you, but they are. This is because when you've reached a certain level of spiritual evolution, your energy begins to act like a magnet. You attract people who are looking for answers, even if they don't know the questions they're asking. And in those moments, you'll find that you don't even need to say much. Sometimes, just your presence is enough. Just being in the same space as someone who is vibrating at a higher frequency can help others raise their own vibration. This is why you might find that people leave your presence feeling lighter, more peaceful, or more hopeful, even if you didn't say anything profound. It's not about the words, it's about the energy you're transmitting. You've become a conduit for something greater, and others sense that. Here's another thing that changes as you progress on this path: your relationship with time. You'll notice that time seems to stretch or compress, depending on what you're doing. When you're deeply engaged in something that aligns with your higher purpose, time flies by. You can lose yourself in the moment, and hours will feel like minutes. But when you're doing something that feels out of alignment, time seems to crawl. This shift in your perception of time is another sign that you're moving into a higher state of consciousness. And this brings us to something even more profound: the way you begin to perceive the world around you. Colors might seem more vivid, sounds clearer, and even the air might feel different. This isn't your imagination. As you raise your vibration, your senses become more attuned to the subtler energies around you. You're no longer just seeing the physical world, you're also picking up on the energetic layers that exist beneath the surface. This heightened perception is another sign that your energy is expanding. You're becoming more sensitive to the nuances of life, and this sensitivity allows you to see things that others might miss. It's as if the veil between this world and the spiritual world is thinning, and you're able to perceive both at the same time. At this point, it's important to recognize that this heightened awareness comes with responsibility. You've been given access to a deeper understanding of reality, and with that comes the responsibility to use that understanding wisely. You'll find that people look to you for guidance, not because you have all the answers, but because you've become someone who can hold space for others as they navigate their own journeys. By now, you've probably noticed that as your spiritual journey deepens, you begin to interact with life in an entirely new way. You're no longer just a passive observer, nor are you trapped in the cycles of reaction that most people find themselves stuck in. Instead, you've stepped into a role that few ever reach, that of a conscious creator. And this is the final, most profound stage of your spiritual evolution. So what does it mean to be a conscious creator? It means that you've realized one of the most powerful truths: that your reality is not something that simply happens to you. It's something that you're actively shaping, moment by moment, thought by thought, intention by intention. This is when you truly start to understand that everything around you, your relationships, your work, your environment, is a reflection of your inner world. And because your inner world has changed so dramatically, the outer world begins to mirror that transformation in ways that are almost surreal. This is where the godlike qualities really begin to show themselves. People notice that things seem to just happen for you. Where others struggle, you seem to glide through life with a kind of effortless grace. But this isn't luck, and it's not coincidence. It's because you're no longer acting from a place of unconscious programming. You're aware of the energy you're putting out, and you're aware that the universe is responding to that energy in real time. You've become the architect of your own reality. Let's take a moment to break this down. Most people live their lives reacting to whatever comes their way. They think that life is happening to them, and so they feel powerless, always at the mercy of circumstances. But you know better now. You've seen that life is happening through you, and that you have the ability to influence it based on your vibration, your thoughts, and your actions. This is what separates those who are spiritually evolved from those who are still asleep. It's not about being special or chosen in the way that society defines it. It's about tapping into the deeper truth of how the universe really works. One of the clearest signs that you've reached this stage is the way you handle your desires. Most people chase after things: money, success, love, hoping that achieving those things will make them feel fulfilled. But when you're operating at this higher level of consciousness, you don't chase after anything. You understand that what you need will come to you, not because you're sitting back waiting for a miracle, but because you're aligning your energy with what you want to create. You've probably experienced this already. Think about a time when you were truly aligned with something you wanted. Maybe it was a job, a relationship, or even a creative project. When you were in that state of alignment, everything seemed to fall into place effortlessly, didn't it? The right people showed up, the right opportunities appeared, and it all felt almost magical. That's because you were in harmony with the energy of creation. You weren't forcing anything, you were allowing it to come to you because you were in vibrational alignment with it. This is the essence of being a conscious creator. It's not about controlling everything in your life or manipulating outcomes. It's about understanding that your vibration, your internal state, dictates what shows up in your external world. And because you've done the deep inner work, because you've raised your vibration, the things that show up for you now are of a much higher quality. You're no longer attracting experiences based on fear, lack, or insecurity. You're attracting experiences that are aligned with your highest self. Here's another powerful sign that you've reached this stage: the way you handle time has completely changed. In the earlier stages of your journey, you might have felt like time was either slipping away too quickly or dragging on endlessly, depending on your emotional state. But now, you've come to realize that time is an illusion. It's not something that controls you. It's something that you can work with, bend, and even transcend. Have you ever noticed how, when you're fully immersed in something you love, time seems to disappear? Hours feel like minutes, and you're in a state of flow where everything seems effortless. This is the state that conscious creators live in most of the time. It's not that they never look at the clock. It's that they've stopped letting time dictate their experience. They've learned how to stretch time, how to make it work for them, rather than feeling like they're always running out of it. This mastery of time is one of the key traits that makes you appear godlike to others. While most people are rushing around, feeling like they don't have enough time to do everything they need to do, you seem to move through life with a sense of calm. You're never in a hurry, yet you always accomplish what you set out to do. People may even start to wonder, how do they get so much done, or how do they stay so calm in the face of deadlines and pressure? The truth is, it's because you're no longer bound by the constraints that most people live under. You've learned how to step outside of time, how to operate from a higher plane where things flow naturally. This brings us to another profound aspect of this stage: your relationship with power. But this is not the kind of power that most people think of: the power to control others, to dominate, or to manipulate. No, this is a much deeper, quieter kind of power. It's the power that comes from knowing who you truly are and standing firmly in that knowledge. It's the power of authenticity, of being so aligned with your true self that nothing can shake you. When you've reached this level, people will start to sense it. They may not know exactly what it is, but they'll feel it. You walk into a room and the energy shifts. It's not because you're trying to prove anything or because you're looking for attention. It's because you've become a living embodiment of truth, and that truth is magnetic. People are drawn to it because, deep down, they're searching for the same thing. They want to feel that sense of power within themselves, that sense of alignment, and they see it in you. This is why, as you continue to evolve, you'll notice that people start to treat you differently. Some will be in awe of you, while others might feel intimidated. This is because your energy is now operating at such a high frequency that it forces others to confront their own levels of consciousness. For some, this will be inspiring. They'll want to be around you, learn from you, and grow with you. For others, it might be uncomfortable. They may not be ready to face their own shadows, and your presence will act as a mirror, showing them parts of themselves they've been avoiding. One of the final, most profound signs of spiritual mastery is the way you begin to interact with the world around you. You no longer feel separate from it. You've realized that you are not just a part of the universe, you are the universe. Everything around you, the trees, the sky, the people you meet, are reflections of the same divine energy that flows through you. This realization changes everything. You start to see the world as an extension of yourself. When you look at someone else, you no longer see them as other, you see them as a part of you. And this changes the way you interact with people. You become more compassionate, more understanding. Not because you're trying to be a good person, but because you've realized that to hurt another is to hurt yourself. To judge another is to judge yourself. This level of awareness allows you to move through the world with a sense of unity and peace that few ever experience. And here's the final truth: when you've reached this stage, the idea of being a chosen one no longer matters to you. You've transcended the need for labels, for recognition, for validation. You understand that everyone is chosen in their own way, and that the only difference between those who awaken to this truth and those who don't is a matter of awareness. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone, because you found what you were searching for all along: a deep, unshakable connection to the divine within you. So let me leave you with this: what kind of reality will you create now that you know this? What will you do with this power, this awareness, this sense of unity? The possibilities are endless. You are a conscious creator in a world of infinite possibilities, and the only limit is the one you place on yourself.